Madam Chair, we are now live. Oh, Madam Chair, it appears you're on mute.
Here we go. Can you hear me now?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Sorry, everybody. Good evening and welcome to the Town of Ajax Committee of Adjustment meeting for Wednesday, April 25th, 2022. This meeting of the Committee of Adjustment is being held electronically and live streamed on the internet due to the COVID-19 emergency and requirements for physical distancing. No in-person attendance is permitted at this meeting. All regular practices and procedures of the committee continue to apply during this electronic meeting. If we encounter any technical difficulties, we may take a brief recess while they are being resolved. Thank you for your patience, and we will now proceed with the meeting. Before moving on to the application portion of this meeting, I would like to confirm whether any of the committee members have any disclosures of interest.
I have none. Cecil, yeah.
Thank you. Okay, seeing none, I would like to do adoption of the minutes from our April 27th, 2022 meeting. Okay, thank you, Wasav. And a seconder? Thank you, Mark. Any discussion at all?
No.
Seeing none, all those in favor?
I'm in favor.
Thank you very much. Carried. The committee is bound by the Planning Act to assess each application based on its ability to meet 4 tests: that the application is minor in nature, is desirable for the appropriate development or use of lands, and finally is in keeping with the general intent and purpose of the official plan and zoning bylaw. The process for tonight's meeting will be conducted in the following manner. The applicant and or agent will be called upon, and at their option, they may provide a brief description of the minor variance application that they have applied for. The committee members may ask questions of the applicant and or agent, after which anyone with direct interest in the application will be given the opportunity to speak either for or against the application. Once a motion is put forward by a committee member, there will be no further input from the applicant or anyone having interest in the application. After a decision is made, notice will be sent out and there will be a 20-day appeal period. Anyone having interest in the application may appeal to the Ontario Land Tribunal within 20 days of the decision of the committee. After 20 days, the decision will become final and binding. If a building permit or other approvals are required, they may be filed during the appeal period. However, no building permits will be issued until the appeal period is over and the decision becomes final and binding. A respectful decorum during this evening's proceedings is expected of all present at all times. I'm going to now introduce our committee members. We have Wasif Ahmed, Cecil Ramnath, Mark Pavlak, myself, Lori Roberts as the chair, and our staff person is Eric Simpson, who is the senior planner, secretary treasurer with the town of Ajax. The first application for tonight's meeting is application A9-22 through A13-22. This is 5 applications being done as one for 1192 Church Street North and is being submitted by 2649368 Ontario Inc. Eric, can I please confirm that notice was served?
Notice was served and no correspondence was received.
Great. For the applicant, the staff has written a report recommending approval for this application for all 5 of them, subject to the following conditions. To permit a maximum garage width of that the owner applicant obtain a final approval of draft plan subdivision application S-A-2020-01 or this decision become null and void. And I just realized I missed the step of saying what the actual application was for, so I apologize. So the variances that are being requested are for all 5 applications to permit a garage width of 5.6 meters, and the bylaw requirement is 4.3 meters. To permit a maximum driveway width of 5.6 meters, and the bylaw requirement is 4.0 meters. The 5th application, which is for lot 20, block 19, is not requesting to permit a maximum apron and curb cut width of 5.6 meters, and the bylaw requirement is 4.0 meters. Sorry for the confusion there. Is the applicant here?
Yes, I am.
Thank you. And have you received a copy of the report?
We have, yes.
Great. If I can ask you to introduce yourself, and if you wanted to ask any questions or make any comments in regards to the application.
Yes, my name is Peter Balganowski of Gatsios Planning, and I'm representing the owner of 1192 Church Street, which is 2649368 Ontario, Inc. I'm going to just give a brief statement here and then open up for questions. The applications are to permit wider garages, driveways, curb cuts, and aprons for specific corner unit townhouses within the draft approved plan of subdivision. The locations, due to the additional frontage, are able to accommodate the wider driveways, curb cuts, and aprons with little to no perceivable impact on the adjacent parts of the draft plan of subdivision. We have reviewed the comprehensive staff report and agree with the conclusions reached, mainly that the applications pass the 4 tests as established by the Planning Act, which you reviewed earlier in the meeting. My client is also okay with the recommended condition. I can answer any questions the committee may have, and thank you for your time this evening.
Thank you very much. Do any of the committee members have any questions for the applicant or staff? Okay, Wasif?
Just for staff, Madam Chair, could we just confirm if notice was served?
Through the chair, notice was served, yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Mark?
Yeah, Madam Chair, through you to staff. Eric, can you just describe whether the relief requested here or the driveway dimensions are typical for the area? I know they exceed the bylaw, but have we been given relief for the driveways of those dimensions in the past in this area of the city, of the town?
Through the chair. Well, the proposal here is a little more site-specific. They don't comply with the site-specific zoning bylaw that was passed for this development, because at the time of crafting that bylaw, it was envisioned that the end townhouse units would be double-car garages. But with that said, this type of product, which is lane-based, is pretty much all garage and driveway on the one lane side frontage. So like this impact of increasing it slightly isn't really going to be visible. Like there won't be much of a visual difference. And that size, 5.6, is reflective of a double car garage. So we may not have a double car garage townhouse lane-based product that exists directly in this area. But that would be like the normal size for any other type of double car garage. So to answer your question, that is normal if you're having a double car garage.
Okay, I appreciate the clarity. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any other questions from any of the committee members? Okay, seeing none. Is there anyone in attendance who would like to speak either for or against the application? Okay, seeing none, can I please ask for a motion on this application? Mark? And can I have a second? Oh, sorry, Mark, go ahead. Sorry, I apologize.
That's okay. Madam Chair, through you, I move to approve application A9/22 to A13/22, subject to the conditions set forth by staff, seeing that the application is minor in nature and meets the remaining tests.
Thank you so much. Can I have a seconder? Thank you, Wasif. Any discussion at all?
None.
Okay, can I please take a vote? All those in favor?
I'm in favor.
Okay, everyone is in favor. So applications, the 5 applications number A9-22 to A1322 has been approved subject to the conditions outlined in the staff report and the 20-day appeal period. Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Okay, we will go on to the next one and hopefully I won't skip a step. So the next application that we are going to look at is A14-22 for 13 Mapson Crescent, submitted by George Burley. The variances requested are, before I read this, can I just, has the applicant, is there anyone in attendance yet? Sarah?
Madam Chair, nobody has joined the meeting to speak to this application.
Okay, no one has joined the meeting. So do we as a committee, do we want to continue with this application even though the applicant isn't here, or do we want to defer it until they're here?
Madam Chair, if I may, I propose that maybe we move it to the last item on the agenda at least, and then give them maximum chance to appear.
That's a great idea. Okay, all those in favor of moving this application to the end?
I'm in favor.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Okay, sorry, just got to reshuffle my pages here. Okay, so now we are going to move on to application A16-22 for 34 Ainley Road. It has been submitted by, and I apologize if I say this wrong, Kwalasin Sandaraj. I really apologize if I did not say that appropriately. The variance requested for this application is to permit a maximum area of 3.0 meters squared for a platform more than 1.2 meters in height above finished ground level, and the bylaw requirement is a maximum area of 30.0 meters squared. Eric, can I please confirm that notice was served?
Yes, notice was served and no correspondence was received.
Okay. And for the applicant, staff has written a report recommending approval of the application subject to 3 conditions, which are that the subject variance apply only to the property municipally known as 43 Mortimer Crescent. No, sorry, I think I have the wrong. Did I read the wrong one? I apologize. I think I may have read, you're Ainley, right?
Yes.
I apologize. So I apologize. I'm gonna read the variance over again because I would have read the wrong variance there. To permit, so for application A16-22 for 34 Ainley Road, the variance requested is to permit an uncovered steps leading to the below grade entrance with the east interior side yard with a minimum setback of 0.1 meters from the interior side lot line. The bylaw requirement for that is that uncovered steps are not permitted within the required interior side yard, and that it's 1.2 meters. I will confirm again that Eric said that notice was sent and no correspondence received. For the applicant, sorry, I apologize. Staff has written the report. Have you received a copy of it?
Yes, I did.
Okay. And can I please ask you to introduce yourself and give us a brief statement on your application and if you have any questions?
Good evening, Madam Chair and committee members. My name is Shajidul Islam. I'm representing Kulasilan Sundaraj for this application at A1622 for 34 Ainley Road. And the application is about on the east side of the property. We're proposing uncovered steps, which is going to lead to a below grade entrance. And while we do that, there will be a setback of 0.1 meter to the interior lot lines, east lot line. And we need it by zoning bylaw is 1.2 meter. So that's the application about. We are seeking the relief for this. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And I'm just going to read what the conditions are because staff has recommended approval of this application based on 6 conditions. That the subject of variance apply to the property municipally known as 34 Ainley Road and as illustrated in figure 2 herein, or this decision shall become null and void. Then an unobstructed pedestrian path of travel to and from the uncovered steps be maintained at all times on the subject property, or this decision shall become null and void. That the existing air conditioning unit be relocated to the satisfaction of the town, or this decision shall become null and void. 4, that the existing utilities be relocated, if necessary, in consultation with the applicable utility agencies and the town's building services section, to a location that does not impede access to or from the uncovered steps, or this decision shall become null and void. 5, that the owner applicant maintain the existing drainage on the property, or this decision shall become null and void. And 6, that the owner applicant obtain all necessary building permits from the town's building service section, or this decision shall become null and void. Okay, do any of the committee members have any comments or questions for the applicant or staff?
Through the chair, I have one question for the applicant.
Yep. Yes, please.
So there are 6 conditions, including one regarding possible relocation of the utilities. Do you foresee any difficulties at all in regards to complying with any of these conditions?
The condition number 3, we need to relocate the air conditioning unit for sure, but for the side entrance, I mean the below grade entrance and the steps, we don't need to alter any existing utilities, but we definitely will need to move relocate the air conditioning unit, and we're going to do that.
So condition number 4, it says that the existing utilities be relocated if necessary.
Yes.
If necessary. So do you know for sure that you don't have to relocate those?
Yes, like we checked on site with our measurements, and we don't need to relocate existing utilities, but we will need to relocate the air conditioning unit for sure.
Okay, thank you very much. And the staff, through the chair, do you concur with that there is no possible relocation that's already been determined, that item number 4 is satisfied and nothing needs to be done?
Through the chair, condition number 4 was more so a safeguard. And that's just because when we did a quick site visit, we noticed that there are some utilities on that site. But as noted in the report, we do say that it does not appear that it would impede access, but this will be confirmed through the further detailed building permit review. So it's more so just there in case. And that's why it says if necessary.
Thank you very much. I have no further questions.
Thank you, Cecil. Do any other committee members have any questions? Wasif?
Through the chair to staff, can you just remind us what happens to the window well? The first one, I guess, that could also be impeding. What's the recommendation there?
So I guess there could be a few options, depending on, typically if they're not like a full egress window, like for a bedroom, the window well doesn't need to encroach as much as it may be. And if that's the case, you may actually have enough space to still have a walkway around it. But if it's a full out egress window, the window well will be a lot deeper. So one potential option would be to just kind of change the grade of the walkway altogether so that just as you would go down to a steps, you could just kind of put the step landing as that the same landing as the window well, so that you would just have a continuous path essentially.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Wasif. Any other committee members have any questions? Okay, seeing none. Is there anybody in attendance who would like to speak either for or against this application? Okay, seeing none. And sorry, Eric, just because I kind of confused things at the beginning there, can I just double confirm again that notice was given for this and any correspondences?
Yes, notice was served and there is no correspondence received.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. Okay, can I please look for a motion on the application?
I'll move.
Okay, Cecil.
So, Madam Chair, I move to approve minor variance application A1622 for 34 Indy Road, subject to all staff conditions, as it is minor in nature, desirable, and appropriate for the use and development of the land, and is in keeping with the general intent of the bylaws and the official plan. So I move to approve.
Thank you very much. And do I have a seconder? Thank you very much, Wasif. Any discussion on the motion at all?
I have none.
Okay. Can I please have a vote for those in favor of the application?
I'm in favor.
Okay, so all in favor, we have the motion has been carried. Application A16-22 for 34 Ainley Road has been approved subject to the conditions outlined in the staff report and to the 20-day appeal period.
Thank you very much. Have a good night. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much. Okay, so now we are on to application A17-22 for 43 Mortimer Crescent that was submitted by Hickory Dickory Decks. The variances that have been requested, just making sure I have all the right pages this time, the variances that have been requested for this application is to permit a maximum area of 37.0 meters squared for a platform more than 1.2 meters in height above finished grade level, and the bylaw requirement is 30.0 meters squared. Eric, can I please confirm that notice was served?
Notice was served and one piece of correspondence in support of the application was received.
In support. Okay, thank you. Okay, and for the applicant, the staff has written a report recommending approval of this application subject to 3 conditions. The conditions are that the subject variance apply only to the property municipally known as 43 Mortimer Crescent, and as generally illustrated on the drawing submitted with this application, shown in figure 2 herein, or this decision shall become null and void. 2, that the owner applicant maintain the existing drainage on the property, or this decision shall become null and void. And 3, that the owner applicant obtain all necessary building permits from the town's building service section, or this decision shall become null and void. Is the applicant here?
Yes, I am here.
Okay, and have you received a copy of the report?
Yes, I have.
Okay, great. So if I can please ask you to introduce yourself. If you're able to turn your camera on, that would be great. We do understand that the internet is a little bit unstable with the storm that we suffered. So if you can't, we'll understand it this time around. If you can introduce yourself and then let us know any comments or questions that you have.
Yes, thank you. My name is Adam with Hickory Dickory Decks, Adam Bluchis. The storm has certainly influenced a lot of neighborhoods. I actually live in the old part of Ajax, and we only just got our power back this afternoon, if you can believe that. But
Wow.
if my camera doesn't work, I do apologize for that, but I'm happy that you can hear me. I'm here representing the homeowners, Brenda and Glenn Kerr, the homeowners at 43 Mortimer Crescent. We are looking to replace the existing upper level deck. It's a walkout basement. We're going slightly larger than the existing deck. We feel it's desirable in nature. We intend on getting all approved building permits from the town, and we have no interest in changing any drainage. We feel this is a reasonable request and hope that you guys feel the same way as well. And we certainly appreciate your committee's time.
Great. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Okay. Does anybody from committee have any questions to the applicant or staff?
So I have a question to staff.
Okay, Cecil.
Through the chair. The staff, is the size of this deck or deck of this nature, is the size of this deck becoming more typical of what has been approved in the past? Or is it unique for this area? Could you comment on that, please? Being a two-part question.
Through the chair, we are seeing more and more of these variances quite often, to be honest. I can't recall if there's been one like specifically within this neighborhood, perhaps close by. But yeah, I mean, we do at least a few of these, to be honest, each year. So it is becoming more common.
Thank you. I have no further.
May I reflect on that, please? Following up on that, the project in question is an irregular shaped lot. It's a relatively deep lot, and the requested application is within proportion to the property as well as the house, and you're still well within the zoning bylaws for side and rear lot encroachments.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. Does anyone else from committee have any questions for the applicant or staff? Okay, seeing none, is there anyone in attendance who would like to speak either for or against the application? Okay, seeing none, can I please look for a motion on the application?
Can I move, Madam Chair?
Yes, please. Yeah.
Yeah, Madam Chair, I move to approve minor variance application A1722 for 43 Mortimer Crescent, subject to all staff conditions as it is minor in nature, desirable and appropriate for the use and development of the land, and it's in keeping with the general intent of the bylaws and the official plan. I move to approve.
Thank you very much, Cecil. And do I have a seconder? Thank you very much, Wasif. Is there any discussion on the motion?
I do not have any.
Okay, if I can please have a vote for all those in favor.
I'm in favor.
Okay, so all are in favor. It is carried. Application A17-22 for 43 Mortimer Crescent has been approved subject to the conditions outlined in the staff report and the 20-day appeal period.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. Thank you. Okay, so the next application that we are going to be looking at is for A19-22 for 20 Wicks Drive, which has been submitted by Edward Rolls. The variances requested on this application is to permit a minimum setback from the exterior side lot line of 0.9 meters for an accessory building or structure inclusive of the eaves. The bylaw requirement is that the setback minimum of 0.6 meters from any rear or interior side lot line and a minimum of 5.0 meters from any exterior lot line as well as encroachments do not apply to accessory buildings or structures. Eric, can I confirm that notice was served?
Notice was served and no correspondence was received.
Okay, great. For the applicant, staff has written a report recommending approval of this application subject to the following conditions. One, that the subject variance apply only to the property municipally known as 20 Wicks Drive and as generally illustrated on the drawing submitted with this application shown in figure 2, or this decision shall become null and void. 2, that the owner applicant maintain the existing drainage on the property, or this decision shall become null and void. And 3, that the owner applicant obtain all necessary building permits from the town's building service section, or this decision shall become null and void. Is the applicant here? And I do believe this might be our applicant who has to communicate with us via text or through
I'm
typing.
his wife.
Okay,
So
thank you.
Yeah, so he's linked me in. So he's at the hall. He was on a call and he's back now. So I have him on the phone.
Okay. Okay,
And
so
I can
if
put my video on if you want. Do you need
that would be great. I appreciate that. And while you're doing that, can I confirm that you received a copy of the report?
Yes, we did.
Okay, and if I can ask you to please introduce yourself and let us know anything about the application or if you have any questions.
I'm Paula, or Edward. His name's Ted, his wife. And there's no questions, and I think all the information was there. So if anybody has questions, they can ask.
Okay, great.
I'm very new to this, so sorry.
Completely understand. It's all good. Okay, so does anybody from committee have any questions for the applicant or for staff? Wasif?
Just a quick question to the applicant. Mrs. Rolls, how long I understand that from the staffing report that there was an existing shed there that this one is replacing. How long was the old one there for?
30 years.
Okay. And was that roughly about the same size, or was that like half of the size that you're going for now, or just in relative terms?
About half.
About half.
My husband can hear you, so he said about half.
About half. Okay, that's perfect. And it was also located in the exact same spot right next to Horton, like abutting Horton?
Yep.
Okay. Thank you. Appreciate that.
No problem.
Thank you very much. Does any other committee members have any questions for the applicant or for staff?
I don't have any.
Sorry, Cecil, was that you do or don't?
No, I'm sorry. I do not have any, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much. Okay, is there anyone in attendance? Sorry, Wasif, did you want to say something? Sorry. Is there anyone in attendance who would like to either speak either for or against the application? Okay, seeing none, can I please look for a motion on the application? Wasif?
Madam Chair, through you, I'd like to move that the committee approve application A1922 for 20 Wicks Drive on the basis that it is minor in nature, meets the 4 tests, and subject to the 3 conditions as outlined in the staff report.
Thank you. And a seconder? Mark, thank you very much. Is there any discussion on the motion at all?
I do not have any.
Okay, and may I please look for a vote? All those in favor?
I'm in favor.
Okay, so that's everyone in favor. It is carried. Application number A19-22 for 20 Wicks Drive has been approved, subject to the conditions outlined in the staff report and the 20-day appeal period. And that's everything for you now.
Thank you.
No problem. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Okay, so now we are going to look at application A20-22 for 10 Route Crescent, submitted by Denise Francis Lewis. The variances requested are to permit a platform more than 1.2 meters in height above the finished ground level and to have a minimum setback of 0.1 meters from the south interior side lot line. The bylaw requirement is the side lot line is 0.3 meters. Eric, can I confirm that notice was served?
Notice was served and correspondence in opposition was received, which was provided for the committee.
Okay, thank you very much. For the applicant, staff has written a report and recommended approval of this application subject to the following 5 conditions: that the subject variance apply only to the property municipally known as 10 Route Crescent and the existing platform as illustrated in the figures herein, or this decision shall become null and void. 2, that the existing privacy screens attached to the platform be modified to comply with the 0.1 meter minimum setback. 3, that the subject variance shall not apply to any future extensions, upgrades, or modifications to the platform and or new platforms. 4, that the owner applicant obtain all necessary building permits from the town's building services section, or this decision shall become null and void. And 5, that the owner applicant maintain the existing drainage on the property, or this decision shall become null and void. Is the applicant here?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, and have you received a copy of the report?
Yes, I have.
Okay, if possible, if you can turn your camera on, that would be great. However, we do understand that the internet is a little bit unstable, so we will let it pass if you can't turn the camera on.
The video has been stopped by the host.
Oh, okay. Well, we'll see if Sarah can look into that. But in the meantime, if I can please ask you to introduce yourself and let us know any comments that you have. There you go. Any comments that you have or questions?
Yeah. Well, my name is Denise Francis Lewis. I've been at that residence since it started. I was actually the first person on Route Crescent more than 22 years ago, I guess, about 22 years. This is a situation whereby the current staircase and deck was in disrepair. It was unsafe. I have a wheelchair as well, and I needed to extend it a bit so that I would still be safe when sitting on the deck to barbecue and so forth. It's difficult to maneuver and do a turn, so it's more about accessibility when using a wheelchair to cook on like the left-hand side only, because there wouldn't be enough room to turn. And so I don't know if you have any more questions for me.
No, I will ask the committee, and we'll see if there's any further questions of you or staff. Does anyone from committee have any questions or comments for the applicant or staff?
Yeah, Madam Chair, I have a few questions.
Okay, Cecil.
Staff. So my questions are for staff right now. My question number one is that there's mention of a ramp in the application. And so my question is, will a future ramp need a permit before it's built? Or is this fully addressed clearly in the report? I think is, I don't know, item number 4 of the report. Could you comment on that, please?
Through the chair, there's no ramp being proposed particularly right now. It was just mentioned because through conversation with the owner, they had mentioned that they maybe someday would like to include one. If they were to include such, they would have to get a new building permit unless they're going to modify the permit right now for the existing platform to include such. So.
Okay, thank you. And I guess that this, my other question is based a bit on it's a bit on the sensitive nature, I suspect. I was kind of wondering, does the town require medical proof of accessibility when considering an application? And if not,
Through the chair, no, the town does not require that. That's not something we're to comment on, to be quite honest. So no, we would not require proof of someone's disability or accessibility needs.
Yeah, thank you very much for that answer. And my follow-up question is in regards to the setback for that is the relief that is requested. Is this setback considered normal, or is there precedence in the area? Do you know?
I mean, over the past years, I believe we have done. I know I've done at least one similar situation when there was an existing deck and there was a 0.1 meter setback granted through committee. But typically, no, it's not common because 0.3 is already a minimum in some cases. So most cases, people would just comply with that. But we're dealing with an existing situation here that had some uniqueness to it. So staff had to consider all of that. And that's why we put forward our recommendation. So
what if I'm understanding you clearly, then there is precedence in the area that's already been set. Is that correct to say or to conclude?
There has been a variance before granted with 0.1, yes, that I'm aware of at least one.
Okay, thank you. And my last question is, I see the drainage has not been flagged as an issue. And can you tell us why?
Well, the deck's elevated, it's above grade, so it's not preventing water from reaching ground and then infiltrating. So it's not anticipated that there would be a drainage issue. It's a platform. It's not like an accessory structure, which then has a roof overhang and maybe eaves that would then direct water onto someone else's property. It's a deck. So there's not really any like cutoff to get to the ground, essentially.
Okay, I understand. So from the town's perspective, there was not a drainage issue at the moment that must be considered only because of the variance that is being applied for.
Through the chair, if there's an existing drainage on the properties or adjacent properties, I'm not aware of that, but I mean, it's not, in the opinion of staff, that's not a result of the platform itself. That could just be, there may be the way the properties were graded and perhaps someone's modified the yard and now that's created an issue and results with maybe some form of ponding, but not from the platform specifically. Staff don't really see how there could be an issue.
I get it. Well, thank you very much. I have no further questions, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much. Do any other members of committee have any questions? Mark?
Through you, Madam Chair, to the staff. So, Eric, if I'm looking at I understand that the privacy screen, the condition is the privacy screen would have to be moved inward a bit to comply with the setback that's requested. But to me, if I look at the picture, it's flush with the edge of the platform.
Through the chair, it's hard to tell from that picture, but when you're actually up close on site, the beams for it do project a little past where we were measuring, like to the tip of the platform, which is the 0.1.
Okay.
So because it's not a privacy screen like under our fence bylaw, because privacy screens that are subject to the fence bylaw are supposed to be at grade. So since this isn't at grade and it's physically attached to the platform, we're treating it as part of the platform. So if we're gonna approve a 0.1 meter setback, all components should comply with that 0.1 meter setback.
Right. So understood. Then that means it has to come in a couple centimeters or approximately.
Correct. And it may need to be modified even more or to comply with, any applicable Ontario building code requirements. I'm not entirely sure. So, but at a minimum, yes, we would want it to comply with the setback if that setback were to be granted.
Okay, then as a follow-up through Madam Chair to the owner, assuming Ms. Francis that you agree to comply with the condition, since it's an existing structure, do you have a sense for the timeline that you'll be able to have that privacy screen modified to comply with the condition, assuming the application is approved?
How much time could you possibly give me?
I think that would go through staff. Is there a timeline?
There's no timeline specifically for that condition. That would be more so tied to the building permit. So it would be a matter of once the building permit's issued, well, then you'd have to modify it in accordance with that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any further questions from committee? Wasif?
Through you, the chair, to the applicant, how long ago was the deck built?
In 2020. Rebuilt, you mean? Or built? First time with the house?
Rebuilt. And the one that you see now in its current state, so...
In 2020.
Okay. Thank you.
I have a question for staff. Looking at figure 4, when you're looking at that, kind of going back to Cecil's comments about the drainage, the bottom part of the deck there's a part of the deck that extends out. The part that's, I don't know how to explain it properly, I apologize. The part that doesn't extend out, is that within code, that bottom portion?
Yes, that complies with the minimum setbacks.
Okay, so that being there, and then I'm just kind of clarifying for myself and for Cecil's comments about the drainage. So the fact that under part is not obstructing the drainage of the ground, and the other part is the deck, the drainage is still able to flow through that section of the yard freely.
Correct. I mean, that's how staff see it. I mean,
Okay.
I suppose snow could build up in between the posts in the fence, but
Yeah.
I mean, that's no different than snow accumulating on the ground next to the fence. So.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you for the clarification. Any further questions from committee at all? Okay, seeing none. Is there anyone in attendance who would like to speak either for or against the application?
Yes. Hello.
Hi there. If I can please ask you to introduce yourself and give us your address where you live, please.
I'm at 8 Route Crescent, and my name is Valerie Silvera. And I have a question for staff to begin with. There was a remark about uniqueness of the situation of this deck. May I ask him to please expand on that?
Sure. The uniqueness was referred to the fact that the deck was extended to accommodate the owner's accessibility needs.
Accessibility. Okay. And may I further ask then a question of the applicant?
You can ask you can ask us a question, and we can relay it.
Okay. May I ask when the applicant was confined to the wheelchair?
Okay. Before you make the question, so we have to be respectful of people's personal situation. So it has to be in regards to this application.
Yes, because according to the staff report just now, they say that the uniqueness of the situation is due to the accessibility needs. So I'd just like to find out, when was the applicant confined to a wheelchair, and when the deck was built, and how the two correlate?
I think I apologize, and with all due respect, and staff can reach out and say whether this is appropriate for me to say or do or not. But I personally feel that part of your question there is not relevant to the application. That's not our personal business, and it was already asked of the applicant by one of the committee members when it was built, and it was answered that it was in approximately 2020 that it was built. So I believe that answers that question.
No, I wasn't asking when the deck was built. I know when the deck was built. I was asking about the accessibility, because the accessibility has come up as a unique situation. So that's why I find it is relevant, because that is the whole issue. The uniqueness of this situation is the accessibility. Correct?
This is what has prompted the need for the application and the variances that are being requested. The variances that are being requested and looked at, they're not, the reasons for it are not really part of our decision or the variance that was asked for. The reasoning for it is not relevant to it.
Oh.
Well,
anybody? Sorry. Go ahead, Mark.
I was just going to say, further, Madam Chair, I would suggest that people's private medical information is not appropriate to be discussed in public forum.
Yeah, and with all due respect, I'm trying to be very aware of your right to come and ask questions, but also respect the applicant at the same time. So anybody can come to the town of Ajax and request a minor variance. And the reasons for asking for the minor variance are varied and are normally not part of the decision-making process. So I am going to make the call, and if it's not appropriate to do so, then staff can reach out and say so, that we're not going to comment on the personal health of the applicant. With all due respect.
Through the chair, from a staff opinion and the committee, I do agree that we're not in a position to comment on that. If the applicant wants to speak to that and feels comfortable, then they may do so, but they're not obligated to.
Thank you, Eric. I appreciate that. And Mrs. Silvera, please understand I'm trying to be very respectful to you and your rights as well. So please know that I am trying to be aware of your rights. Do you have any further questions at all?
No, it doesn't seem. My questions would also relate to whether the applicant intends to extend the deck further because of her situation, and obviously that's not going to be entertained. So I know that's okay. Okay, so I have sent in some comments, and I would assume that the committee has read them.
We have, They have made sure. Eric has made sure that we receive them, and we're aware of them. Just to remind you that one of the conditions of this application is that the subject variance shall not apply to any future extensions, upgrades, or modifications to the platform. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you. Is there anyone else who is in attendance who would like to speak either for or against this application? Okay, seeing none, I would please look for a motion from committee on the application.
I'd like to move.
Cecil?
Yes, Madam Chair, I move to approve minor variance application A 2022 for 10 Wood Crescent, subject to all staff conditions as it is minor in nature. Desirable and appropriate for use in the development of the land, and is in keeping with the general intent of the bylaws and the official plan. So I move to approve.
Thank you very much. And is there a seconder? Mark, thank you very much. Is there any discussion on the motion? See none, can I please call a vote for all those in favor?
I'm in favor.
Okay, and a vote for all those against. Okay, so the vote is 3 in favor, 1 against. Application A 20-22 for 10 Root Crescent has been approved and is subject to the conditions outlined in the staff report and to the 20-day appeal period. Okay. So we can have both the guest and the applicant. You can turn your mics off and your cameras off now. Thank you. Okay, so now we are going to go back to application A14-22 for 13 Mapson Crescent, submitted by George Burley. Has Mr. Burley showed up yet, Sarah?
Through the chair, no, unfortunately not.
Okay, so to the committee, do we want to proceed with this application even though the applicant is not here, or would we like to defer it to another day?
Madam Chair, may I ask if there is anybody else speaking either for or against this application before we make that decision?
That's a great question. Is there, Sarah, do you know if there's anybody in attendance who is expressed an interest to speak either for or against?
Through the chair, there are no other parties.
Okay.
Then, Madam Chair, since there isn't any dissenting parties that appear to, I move that we move forward and review the application.
Okay, all those in favor of proceeding with the application without the applicant in attendance?
Yes, I'm in favor.
Can
Okay.
I just ask a question, Madam Chair? Sorry
Absolutely.
to speak out of turn.
Yeah.
Maybe to staff. Eric, did Mr. Burley or the applicant or their agent actually confirm whether they were going to attend today? Like, if we defer this, is this going to cause any possible issues for the homeowner or the applicant?
Chair, I never heard back. The report was sent. Typically, they have responded via email, but I never heard anything back. I mean, from a staff perspective, this is the result of a bylaw complaint, so it would be ideal to move forward with it as soon as possible, because just not doing it just prolongs the infraction. That's just my opinion.
Okay.
Okay, so I have 3. I'm sorry, Wasif. I'm going to do it over because I wasn't sure if you had voted for that or not. So those in favor of moving forward. Okay, so we're going to move forward with application A14-22, 13 Mapson Crescent for George Burley. The variances that he has requested is to permit a minimum setback from the exterior side lot line of 0.6 meters for an accessory building structure, and the bylaw requirement is a minimum of setback minimum of 0.6 meters from any rear or interior side lot line, and a minimum of 5.0 meters from any exterior lot line. The relief requested is to permit a minimum setback from the exterior side lot line of 0.3 meters for the eaves of an accessory building or structure. And there's on all of these, there is a notation, which I'll read at the end. The bylaw requirement for that is that encroachments, including eaves permitted in this section, do not apply to the accessory buildings or structures. And the final relief requested is to permit a platform under 0.6 meters in height above finished ground level to have a minimum setback from the interior side lot line of 0.8 meters and a minimum setback from the rear lot line of 0.8 meters. And the notation is that the variances requested are to address existing site conditions. The bylaw requirement is that the minimum setback for interior side lot line is 1.2 meters, and the minimum setback for the rear lot line is 1.8 meters. This application did have one condition, and the condition was that the subject variance apply only to the property municipally known as 13 Mapson Crescent, and that the existing accessory buildings and or structures and platform as illustrated in the figures herein, or this decision shall become null and void. So just to confirm, no one has showed up for this application as of yet.
That's correct, Madam Chair.
Okay, and does anybody on committee have questions for staff in regards to this application? Sorry, can I, because I went out of order. Eric, was notice served on this one?
Yes, notice was served, and there were 3 pieces of correspondence, all in support, that were received.
Okay. Okay. Does anybody have any questions for staff at all in regards to this application? Wasif?
Madam Chair, just through you to staff. So I noticed that in one of the correspondence, it just kind of talked about a bylaw infraction, blitz, if you will. And I think one of the correspondents said that this particular applicant at 13 Mapson was the only one that kind of submitted a minor variance application versus the other ones just kind of are either moving or somehow bringing into compliance their sheds and accessory buildings. To your knowledge, is that true? Or are we expecting more on this one? Or
Through the chair, I haven't had anyone else specifically reach out. I'm not aware of anyone else either. So yeah, it's either a matter of they're just moving theirs to comply, or perhaps they're just not acting on the complaint yet. I don't know.
Okay. All right. I personally commend the applicant for actually going this route and actually trying to bring it into compliance through a minor variance application. So it's pretty
I agree.
Good.
Any other? Sorry, Cecil, do you have a question?
Yeah, I've got a question to staff. Is there any likelihood that if we were to proceed with this, that the applicant there's a possibility that the applicant might withdraw this application and not proceed with it?
Through the chair, sorry, can you repeat your question, Cecil?
Okay, the question is, let's assume that we proceed with this application. Is there an outside chance that the applicant, because he's not here, he or she is not here, is it possible for them to turn around and withdraw their application and sort of negate what we might be doing going forward in terms of considering the application?
So a little confused, but I mean, if they were to withdraw, yeah, they would have already withdrawn. They wouldn't have gone through the process to submit in the first place if they didn't have a desire to keep it as is. So I mean, I have no communication with them to suggest that they're going to do something different, if that's what you're asking.
Yes, that's exactly what
Okay.
I had.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Should have.
No, they haven't indicated anything to me that suggests that they're not going to keep it and they're going to do something different. That's actually why they submitted it. It was too much of a hassle actually for them, especially the one larger structure that was that's wood to move it. So this is the kind of method that they're supposed to go.
Makes sense. Any further questions, Cecil?
No, I don't.
Anyone else have any additional questions for staff in regards to this application? Wasif?
Sorry, through the chair. Eric, again, one more time, buddy. I'm sorry. Was there anything in terms of total gross area by the fact that the the applicant has two sheds? I think the wooden one's like 8 by 12, but nothing in terms of total gross area being covered or anything like that, right?
The chair, no, they comply with the two requirements for that. There's a 60 square meters is the maximum for the cumulative of all of structures, and then 10% of the lot. They're well within both of those.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate it.
Good questions. Any further questions from any of the committee members? Okay, seeing none, can I please look for a motion on this application? Wasif?
Madam Chair, I'd like to move that the committee approve application A1422 for 13 maps in Crescent on the basis that it is minor in nature, meets the 4 tests, and is subject to the one condition in the staffing report. Thank you.
No problem. And can I have a seconder, please? Thank you very much. Mark, any discussion on the motion at all? Okay, can I please have a vote for those in favor of approving the motion?
I'm in favor.
Okay, all are in favor. Application A14-22 for 13 maps in Crescent has been approved, subject to the conditions outlined in the staff report in the 20-day appeal period. And that concludes the application portion of tonight's meeting. We will now move on to other business. Does anybody have any other business they would like to bring forward at this point? Okay, seeing none, I will look for someone to motion to adjourn. Thank you very much. Wasif, seconder. Mark, all those in favor?
I'm in favor.
Okay, we are adjourned. Thank you.